Walk down the electric scooter aisle and you'll find a folding electric scooter at $200 sitting next to one at $1,200, and from the product photos, they look nearly identical. The expensive one might pack a stronger motor or a safer battery, or the cheap one might hide a flaw that surfaces on your second ride, and sometimes that's exactly what's happening. In this category though, what separates a deal from a disaster isn't the price tag, and a simple check before you hit buy will tell you which side of that line you're on. Value on a cheap scooter comes down to 4 things. The motor needs at least 350 watts, which Tom's Guide flags as the minimum because anything weaker stalls on hills. Pneumatic tires matter too, since solid rubber saves the company money but punishes you on cracked pavement. UL2272 battery certification is the third, a standard New York banned uncertified scooters under back in September 2023 after a string of fire deaths. The fourth one nobody talks about is a brand that actually stocks replacement parts on its own website. Everything else is brand tax, whether that's apps, color-matched stems, aluminum finishes, or a logo stamped on the deck. Spec sheets do more damage than the marketing does because makers routinely overstate range by 40 to 60%. Gotrax advertises the G4 at 25 miles, and independent testers clocked it between 13.7 and 24.2. Real-world tested range is the only number worth trusting. 3 brands first, where the price doesn't match the product. Start with isinwheel. The 350-watt foldable lists on Amazon around $200 to $300 and looks like a steal next to a $700 Segway, and the trouble shows up after about 3 months. Owner reviews on Amazon and Trustpilot repeatedly describe motors dying at 3 to 4 months, while warranty claims sit unanswered. One Amazon buyer put it bluntly, writing that, like every other isinwheel product I've had, the damn motor died within 3 to 4 months. What isinwheel does well is the spec sheet with a 17-mile range, dual brakes, and app control, which is exactly the trap. Next comes EVERCROSS. Search the HB24 on Amazon, then pull up the H5 at Home Depot, and on paper, those two are identical, with the same frame, the same wheels, the same controller, just a different sticker. EVERCROSS slaps a logo on an off-the-shelf chassis out of Shenzhen and prices it like a real brand, which means you're paying for marketing instead of engineering. The one thing it gets right is working out of the box for most buyers, but when something breaks, you end up in Amazon Q&A threads trying to figure out which generic part fits. Third on this list, the older Segway 9bot Max G30. Segway has held the global #1 kick scooter brand position for 3 years running, which makes the next finding a surprise. Independent tester eRide Hero found the roughly $350 Hiboy S 2-out accelerated it, along with the Pricier TurboAnt V8 and TurboAnt X7 Max, and that's the part that caught me off guard. You're paying a brand premium for slower 0 to 15. What Segway does deliver is genuinely better app support, a deeper parts catalog, and a warranty network the no-name competition can't touch, so you're buying support rather than speed. Now to the 3 worth your money. The NIU K-Key 100P retails around $349 at NIU's own site, Kohl's and Walmart, and Tom's Guide named it Best Budget, calling it one of the cheapest electric scooters out there that I would actually recommend. The package includes a 300-watt motor, 17 miles per hour top speed, 9.5-inch pneumatic tires, front suspension, a 265-pound rider limit, and a 2-year warranty. The honest trade-off is hill performance, which sits on the weak side, and the advertised 18-mile range drops to about 10 in real use. NIU has traded on NASDAQ since 2018, so parts supply is stable. Next, the Hiboy S2, around $329 to $399. This is the model eRide Hero clocked out, accelerating the Segway Max G30, the TurboAnt V8, and the TurboAnt X7 Max. A 350-watt front motor pushes it to roughly 19 miles per hour. Capacity tops out at 260 pounds, and Hiboy stocks replacement parts on its own site. As Scooter Nerds estimates a 3 to 7 year lifespan with normal care. The honest trade-off involves the tires, which run 8.5 inches and solid rather than pneumatic, so cracked sidewalks feel every bit as cracked. On smooth pavement, though, the price-to-performance ratio is hard to beat. Third in this group, the Gotrax G4, listed at $499.99 and often discounted to around $300. Android Authority and Tech Gear Lab both clocked it at roughly 20 miles per hour, the highest top speed in its budget class, and it carries a 374 watt-hour battery, the largest in this tier, riding on 10-inch pneumatic tires. Tech Gear Lab measured 22 miles of real-world range. The honest trade-off sits in the widespread on-tested range, anywhere from 13.7 to 24.2 miles depending on the reviewer, and Gotrax's phone support pulls rough marks. The company has served over 7 million riders though, which means the parts pipeline actually exists. The rule that ties this list together is simple, and it isn't motor wattage or top speed. Cheap scooters split into two camps based on whether the company sells replacement tires, batteries, and controllers on its own website. The NIU KQE 100P, the Hiboy S2, and the Gotrax G4 all clear that bar, while isinwheel and the EVERCROSS HB24 don't, which means when a part fails, the scooter becomes recycling. Spend 10 minutes on the brand's website hunting for a parts page before you click buy, because if it isn't there, you're buying a 30-pound disposable battery on wheels. The Segway Max G30 is the reminder that a familiar logo and a higher price don't automatically buy better acceleration, because sometimes a $350 commuter beats a $700 one in the only test that matters. When you stand in front of that scooter shelf and see one folder at $200 and one at $1,200, the real question isn't which logo you trust. The question is which one will still have a replacement battery on the maker's site 18 months from now, and that answer lives in the fine print, not on the box. If this saved you from a bad buy, like and subscribe, and more breakdowns are on the way.